Welcome to episode 88 of the Luke Winstall Show. Today's guest is the head basketball coach of Wheeler High School in Georgia. He's won 3 state championships in the past 5 years, including one over national top 25 Grayson High School that had 3 major Division I prospects last year. Coach Larry Thompson, thank you for joining me on the show. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm glad to have you on. My first question for you. Over the years, as your style has evolved and as you've been learning as a head coach, how would you describe your coaching style in 2019 and 2020 and how you coach that Wheeler team?
I'm a more defensive-minded basketball coach right now. I understand if you can stop a team from being comfortable and scoring how they normally score or being comfortable when they run their offense, it makes it a lot easier on you as a team. You're able to get stops and able to get stuff in transition where it's really, really hard to guard really good basketball teams in transition. So being more centered defensively, helping guys understand that if they want to play at the next level, they got to be committed to guarding, and they got to be committed to guarding not just, on Monday or Tuesday or, Tuesday, Friday game days, but being committed to guard every single day when it comes to practice and when it comes to open gym, when it comes to whenever you have an opportunity to play the game. Be committed to the defensive side of basketball because it makes it so much easier for guys to go on the other end and get, uncontested layups or open threes or whatever the case may be. My style is have always been a more defensive center approach. And when we are, doing 4-on-1 individual workouts, we do a lot of, defensive drills to get going in that, 30, 45-minute workout. Whereas, I've seen a lot of guys, they concentrate strictly on the offensive side of basketball when they're doing individual workouts. A tad bit different in that regards because I lead on the defensive side of the basketball when we first get started with practice. I make sure that guys understand that it's going to be tough and we're going to be a tough, hard-nosed team. And I think that's what got us over the hump this past year because we had a group of guys that bought into guarding. I think we was a really, really good defensive basketball team after Christmas. Guys understood our limitations offensively and made the defensive side of basketball the extreme focus. We can go and get stops, and we can hold teams from their customary average and holding guys under 60 points. And if we did that, pretty consistent, we could put ourselves in a really good situation to win basketball games. I had a blue collar team this year. Didn't have the quote unquote, fanfare, 4-star, 5-star individual kid. So we was more of a collective team, and it was led more so on the defensive side of the basketball. I think that's the best approach for the personnel I had this past year. I think it's the best approach for almost any team because it makes it easier when you are a team that's focused on the defensive end and getting stops nightly. You can, pretty hard to guard transition opportunities when you are playing 2 against 1 or 3 against 1 when you focus on getting stops. So that'll be the blueprint. Most of my teams, I'm sure, won't change that approach. Want a team that's going to be tough, hard-nosed, and willing to do the small things defensively to help our team win games.
You got the job at Wheeler, and obviously that program has produced a lot of talent, won a lot of championships, and now with 7, it's the most of any modern-time GHSA program. Before the 2019-20 season, what expectations did you have for this Wheeler team?
This team, looking at us, early on paper, I thought we'd be a team that could, compete for a region championship. I really did. Having a kid like, Sam Hines being your anchor and one of the toughest kids I had the privilege of coaching, who wouldn't take no for an answer. You have to put yourself in the mind frame where we have to play that way. I thought we was a team that could compete for a region championship, even though our region is was going to be always tough. I think we did a few things the year before that put us in the right situation as far as growing up and putting people in situations to gain some experience would help us in the long run. After starting the way we started and had some of the downs that we had, and seeing guys accepting roles and starting to play with a sense of confidence and passion after Christmas. I think the region championship was more so a reality that we could possibly win it, and who knows what happened after region tournament. After region tournament, you get on a roll, and you win a few games in the state tournament. Next thing you know, you find yourself in the Final Four, and then you have to be better than that other team just one particular day. And we had some opponents that we were familiar with. We played both Milton and Grayson in our own building. Games that we led a lot of the games, especially against Grayson. A game that we let get away from us with Milton back in late January. So after that, those first 3 rounds, I think Shiloh was the dark horse in our run, because we were supposed to play them as well on January 11th. Then we had some inclement weather stuff that kind of went on that kind of canceled that game, and we didn't get a chance to make that game up. So that was the second round game was the one that we were penciled in as one. This could be the one that could make or break us. I mean, if we lost the game, of course, it ended the season. But if we won that game, we could have an opportunity to reach a Final Four, and that's where we approached it.
Well, take me through the experience for you going down to Macon, Georgia with your team and knocking off nationally ranked Grayson in the GHSA 7A state championship.
Man, storybook ending to the season. I mean, it's kind of surreal now. You think about it. It started for us, to be honest with you, it started after we was able to beat our old nemesis in our region, Pebblebrook, a team that had our number for quite some time. I don't think Willow team had beat Pebblebrook since 2015 in the state tournament and state finals when Jalen Brown hit the free throws. So after beating them in the region tournament and just taking a quick little look at the tournament bracket, it was doable. We looked at it and said, hey man, we take it day by day, one game at a time. The way the bracket that's set up, it is nobody on the bracket that we cannot compete with as long as we come to play. And we played very well in the first round game against LOI and being a nail biter against Shiloh. A really athletic and well coached Bergmar team who we played our best defensive game all year against, and then a rematch with Milton before we reached the state championship against Grayson. And that road that we had to take, it prepared us. We were battle tested. No style that we hadn't seen before that wouldn't have us ready to play against a well coached Grayson team. We were battle tested, and it was one of those situations where as long as we came out and competed and played the way we were supposed to play, we could have an opportunity to win a basketball game. So we did something a little different that Thursday and Friday before. We took the guys down on Friday. Of course, we had a late game on Saturday. We went down on Friday afternoon, and we had a practice down in Macon at Central High School. Took the guys to the 5A, was it Cedar Show? Yeah, the 5A state championship that Friday night, just so they could see the atmosphere, see the building, see how everything set up down there. That way, the first time they going in Macon Coliseum, it wouldn't be them playing for the state championship. They already had a feel for the venue the night before, and doing that, I think, helped settle some of the nerves for some of the kids. I've been telling me that if that had been the first time they saw the lights going out and them doing the starting lineup, the butterflies would have got a little bit bigger. And who knows, we may not start off as fast as we did. So seeing that helped those guys, and I think staying down and making the night before as a group, and getting rid of the family and girlfriends and video games and those things that the kids normally do nights before games. I think it kind of helped settle those guys' nerves and caused us and helped us be as sharp as we was going into that basketball game.
Well, Grayson had beaten you earlier in the season. What changed?
We we weren't very, very good when we played them early on defensively. We could score. We had been a little depleted. We playing against Grayson December the 7th at our place. That was our first time having a full complement of guys. We either had a guy too out injured, or a guy was sick, or a guy was GHSA ineligible, whatever the case may be. But that was the first game we had played that year during the season, when we had a full complement of guys, and we started the game really, really fast, really sharp, played well, and I think it was one of those things where we was trying to play too many guys at one particular time, and we haven't settled in on who our normal rotation would be. We changed defensively. We became a more complete defensive team. We started trusting each other a little bit more. Guys started getting into their spots when they're supposed to be, as far as being there on the help side and being in position where they're supposed to be. So just the overall maturation of a team, growing from being an individual to a team, especially on the defensive side of basketball, that's what changed. We became really, really complete. We could really guard guys, understood their roles, and we just became a more complete defensive team. And in order to beat a team like Grayson, who can shoot the basketball with like no other, who can dribble drive the ball like no other, you have to be sound defensively every possession. And even being sound defensively every possession, they still can find a way to score, and score in a hurry, like they did against us in the third quarter of the title game. So we changed. We was in the process of becoming a complete defensive basketball team. Like I said, we could score a little bit. Offensively, we were pretty good, but we would have some defensive lapses where we would maybe get up on a team or two, 10, 12, 14 points, and we would relax a little bit, and teams would make a run, and we sometimes wasn't able to withstand that run. And that's what we were striving to become, a team that could withstand runs from good teams. And luckily, we found a few stops in the title game and made some free throws down the stretch to help us close out the best team in the state of Georgia.
Well, your team plays in Class 7A in Georgia, which is one of the toughest high school leagues in the nation. Where do you think 7A in the state of Georgia ranks when you put it on a national scale? Is it top 20, top 10, top 5? Where's the league to you in terms of how tough it is?
I think it's top 5, no question. I mean, you have quite a few places that play some really, really good high school basketball. WCAC up in the Baltimore, D.C. area, Maryland area. Of course, out in California and in Texas. But I think from top to bottom, the region I've coached in the past 3 years is about as tough as it can get inside of a region, playing with Pebblebrook, Westlake, and East Coweta, Wheeler, and Campbell, and Newnan. I mean, look at those guys this past year. Start of the year, our region was basically up for grabs. I mean, anybody who got hot early, got hot late, could have an opportunity to win it. And that just goes to show how tough it is in the state when you got those 6 teams all in the same region. Go across the Gwinnett, you have your Berkmars and your Norcrosses of the world. And I think Grayson, who was number 2 most of the year, I don't think is too many places where you can go and say you have that many teams with that much talent and have to bring it and compete every single night just to win your region, let alone the state championship. My vote is that we are tops in the country, and until we get an opportunity to find a way to play, state champ versus state champion of the state, and it's going to always be that way. And with my vote, the level of competition and level of coaching in our state is great, not only in 7A but all over Georgia. As testament of how serious kids, parents, and coaches take it, because without any of those, you could have a different version. But I think because of the competitive nature of our kids and the coaches, is two of the things that make the Peach State one of the best places to coach and play high school basketball in the country.
Most definitely. Coach Thompson, that's all the questions I had for you. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of The Luke Winstall Show. Please be sure to follow on social media at Luke Winstall Show and share it with all your friends. That concludes this episode, but I'll see you back next week with another great guest.